control over you. I think it's in the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs says, greater is the man who rules over his spirit than the one who conquers a city. So if you conquer yourself, then all the things happening around you are QED, quite easily done. So strive not to change what is outside, but what is inside. My name is Frederick Njiri, and what a great day this is. Today is Tuesday, and it's one of those Tuesdays that is full of great stuff. Later on in the day, we're going to have a conversation with Bernard Ochieng, who's an economist. If you can remember, we've been having conversations about, how you can be able to invest whatever it is that, is in your pocket, irrespective of how little it is a culture you build. Remember, wealth building is a culture. It is things that you do that get you to a destination. Poverty is also a culture. It is things that you do that get you to that state of poverty. So we'll be learning things to do that you can do to get you to that state of having. That will be coming during our conversation later on in the day. Anyway, the strike by the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers has officially kicked off yesterday countrywide. This is after the lapse of 14-day notice last night. The medics are protesting the exclusion of clinical officers from SHA empowerment and a breach of last year's return to work agreement. The clinical officers accuse the government of perpetuating an illegality by locking out facilities registered under the Clinical Officers Council from SHA and empowerment. The union's chair, Peter Washira, says a meeting called by the health CS yesterday failed to yield any fruit, and the strikes now remains in force.
You remember that on Tuesday the 14th, last week, a meeting was held at Council of Governors that brought together the Ministry of Health, the Social Health Authority, the Council of Governors, and the Clinical Officers Council. There was a resolution from that meeting signed by the Council of Governors leadership, the Ministry of Health, and that was meant to direct the Social Health Authority to end what can only be said to be illegal and illogical exclusion of a cadre that takes care of more than 90% of our patients in the country. Since then, there is no clinical officer up to today, as we are talking, from Tuesday, who is able to pre-authorize. There is also no facility registered by the Clinical Officers Council that has been empaneled. And so then our conclusion as a union is that the cartels are still at play, and people have decided not to even honor such a high level resolution.
It is the making of the government because the issues that we are highlighting are historical in nature. There's no one who can understand, for instance, why should we negotiate a CBA for close to 7 years, and yet a CBA has a life cycle of just 4 years. So meaning, we are completing 2 cycles without a CBA.
Tumekuwa na mama yetu, ametulea, ametunyonyesha, mpaka mahali ambapo tumefika. Na mama yetu ni Clinical Officers Council. Na hii imepewa ruhusa ya kuweza kuregister institutions. Lakini ile sababu ambayo hizi institutions haziwe empaneled ndilo jambo ambalo limetufikisha hapa leo. Kwa hivyo sisi tunaomba serikali ama Ministry of Health na the Social Health Authority iruhusu ama empanel zile hospitali zote ambazo zimekuwa registered na Clinical Officers Council, kwa sababu hii ndio body ambayo inaturepresent.
So let me get this. One of the things that they are demanding is that they be empaneled in the SHA Council so that they participate in that, more like the NHIF, I guess. Obviously, in there you get a lot of allowances. My take. Medical services in various public hospitals in Mombasa were hampered as the Union of Clinical Officers Industrial Action began to bite. Some patients reported missing various services, while some were advised to seek services in private hospitals.
Officers wote tuko mgomo na tungeomba wale wagonjwa ambao wamekuja kupata matibabu kwa facilities za serikali waende kwa other facilities kupata hayo matibabu, sababu si makosa yetu si kupenda kwetu kugoma, ila ni inatubidi pia situgome ili kutafuta haki yetu.
Clinical officers hao ndio wana offer 90% of the UHC, na kama tunataka kuachieve hiyo agenda ya UHC, tuko na pia hawa clinical officers wameandikwa under UHC, na hakuna ati kuna zile kazi zenye wao hawawezi kufanya kando na clinical officers wenye wanafanya permanent and pensionable.
Nimekuja tangu saa 12, mamangu aliambiwa aje apigwe picha ya echo, na mpaka sasa hatujapata huduma, na mama hana nguvu hata za kuketi. Yeye ni aketi dakika 2 alafu alale, muda mwingi ni kulala. Sasa tangu saa hiyo tuambiwa daktari ameenda atiku anaumwa jino, ameenda kutolewa jino, hatujapata matibabu yoyote, hatujapata usaidizi wowote.
Sasa hivi kesho nimepewa appointment nikuja nione daktari, na nimeambiwa daktari wamegoma. So sasa daktari wakigoma, kama ni hiyo kesho na ndio nimeambiwa nikuje nione daktari. Sasa unaona mtoto wangu anazidi kuumia na haendi shule. Afaa afanywe aende theater atolewe, kuna ufimbe kwa mkono.
Kama ni hao wajiri wao washughulikie vizuri, wapate kuwashughulikia ili wananchi wapate huduma yao. Wananchi wajali afya yao. Mtu ni afya. Ukiwa una afya huwezi fanya chochote.
Serikali inafaa iangalie hawa wahudumu na madaktari wao wanalipwa kwa wakati. Haina maana akiwa tutalipa legislators pesa nyingi wa kukaa tu kule na watu wanaofanya kazi hapa hawapati malipo.
Ningependa hawa waweze kugoma. Ni ile tu suluhisho ipatikane ili hawa waendelee na kazi, maana wagonjwa wako wengi na kila mgonjwa anahitaji kutibiwa.
Ukikuja hapa Coast General unaambiwa mpaka mtoto alazwe ndio wachukue SHA. So kila kukuja kutibiwa ni cash.
Mimi nimetoka kulipa 5,500 ya picha. Sasa kwanza wameniambia kwa SHA haifanyi au
You know, there's nothing as frustrating as trying to get healthcare for your loved one, and then you get to the hospitals and you discover that the doctors are not doing anything, and your loved one is really suffering, and they're just passing. Well, the Council of Governors has urged clinical officers to call off their new strike that started on the 20th of January, noting that some of the key issues that had driven them to down their tools have already been sorted. Speaking to media at the conference after meeting with Principal Secretary for Medical Services Harry Kimutai and officials from the Social Health Authority, governors who mediated the impasse led the clinical officer to a strike, said that they had made great strides in addressing the issues that had been brought forth. Thus, they should forthwith call off the strike. Among the key issues raised were empowerment on the health services run by clinical officers into the Social Health Authority Board and their Clinical Officers Council, as opposed to being forced to go through the Doctors Board, KMPDC.
In view of the aforementioned resolutions, we call upon the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers to call off the ongoing strike to ensure service delivery in county facilities and in all facilities do not grind to a halt. We had a meeting last week where we discussed the major issues. We have set a technical committee between the COG and the clinical officers, the council, and we gave them 21 days to actually go over, the issues and to have a draft CBA that then will be cascaded to the counties, so that we can adopt them as governors and as different employers across the country. We had agreed on the Social Health Authority, but there was a little miscommunication. Then they thought that we've moved back on our word. And that's why today, even this statement, I am signing in front of you, and the PS is going to sign as well in front of you, so that you can show our clinical officers that we care and that we mean our word.
Last week, actually, we met on 14th. We never had any media brief, but we had a very comprehensive meeting with the KUKO. And as far as we were concerned, there was not going to be any strike until they misunderstood what was communicated by the SHA CEO, which they never got and never asked questions on what exactly does he mean. Does it negate what we discussed that day? So I would say this trigger for the strike today was simply because of wrong perception or misunderstanding over communication.
We want to confirm that indeed these resolutions will be implemented with immediate effect, and starting this afternoon we are going to call on the Council of Clinical Officers to report to the Ministry of Headquarters through their chief officer so that we can start engaging with the DHA.
Well, we definitely hope that this strike is going to come to an end, because the people who are suffering are not the Council of Governors. It is the ordinary mwananchi who is unable to access services within the private sector, because that is going to really affect the life of the people. President William Ruto has launched the first ever sugarcane farmers bonus at the Mumias Sugar Company. Speaking to residents there, the head of state said the bonus, the first ever to be paid to sugarcane farmers, demonstrate the successful implementation of reforms being made by his administration to revive the once thriving sugar sector. Agriculture CS Mutai Kagwe also commended the head of state for introducing the bonuses, saying it's a life changer for residents.
Sugar bill, you have already finished with. Regulations are in our offices. And I know, even speaking before I arrive at the office, that our people are already working on it. And in the next 1 month, we should be able to deliver the regulations to Parliament so that my brother, the Honorable Speaker, can also pick it up and deal with it in Parliament. The amount of sugar we are going to import now is a lot less than we were going to because of what the fertilizer input has done to these farmers. This year, we are going to produce some 800,000 metric tons. Our requirement is about 1.1 million metric tons for the country. So we are going to reduce and save foreign exchange.
Mpango yetu ni kwamba ile mambo tulikuwa tunaagiza sukari, tunasumbuka na makatel. We want by 2027 Kenya inakuwa a sugar exporting country, and it is possible if we work together. Badala ya kupoteza pesa zetu za kigeni, tunataka miwa itusaidie kuongeza pesa ambazo zinakuja Kenya kwa madola, kwa sababu tunauza sukari yetu nje ya Kenya. And Kenyan farmers are very hard working. I am confident that with the right leadership, with the correct support, we are going to have a sugar surplus and we are going to export sugar from the Republic of Kenya. Vile vile, niliwaeleza ya kwamba tutakuwa na sheria mpya. Nataka nimshukuru Mheshimiwa Wangwe na wabunge wa sehemu hii na wabunge wa Kenya. Tulisimama na wao, sasa tuko na sheria mpya. Ile mimi nauliza waziri, na leader of majority yuko hapa, na speaker wa bunge yuko hapa, kwamba hiyo sheria tulipitisha inahitaji regulation.
That's good. You know, an entire area, Mumias, basically the economy of Mumias was built around Mumias sugar. And so when unscrupulous dealers, some of them you know, when they brought down this company, an entire ecosystem basically collapsed. And it's it's very refreshing to see, some of these things being done. When I was growing up, Mumias, that area, Mumias sugar was humongous. It was an economic giant that took care of the people of that region. Kakamega Governor Fernandez Barasa has said the county is leading in social health authority registration. Now, the county's governor says health officials have led efforts to encourage residents to register in the new health program. The transition plan began in October 2024 after the defunct NHIF. President William Ruto has pledged to ensure the universal health coverage is working to benefit the non-salaried Kenyans.
Mambo ya SHA hapa Kakamega, Mheshimiwa Rais, I want to assure you kwamba kwa mkoa wa Magharibi, Kakamega is leading in SHA registration. Nationally tuko nambari 5 na mimi nilikuhakikishia kwamba by the end of February Kakamega will be number 1 in SHA registration, kwa sababu pia tunahusisha makanisa na misikiti katika shughuli ya kujisajili kwa Taifa Care. Na mambo ya moshi, tunasema tunataka moshi bora na sio bora moshi. Tuko na moshi bora, mabora moshi. Sasa tuko na moshi bora, ndiposa leo tuko na bonus hapa, na tunakushukuru sana Mheshimiwa Rais.
Nasema heri sisi ambao tulipe zaidi, ndio tuwachane na harambee. Wewe mwananchi, wewe pia ujumuishwe katika mambo ya matibabu. Wewe mwananchi ambaye huna kazi na huna uwezo, kazi yako ni moja, kujisajili. Kama uko na uwezo, utalipa kulingana na uwezo yako. Kama huna uwezo, serikali ya Kenya itakulipia. Wacha nirudie, ndio msikie zaidi, ndio msikie vizuri. Kwa sababu saa zingine unamwambia mwananchi, mbona hujajisajili? Ati anasema sina pesa. Nani alikuuliza ya kwamba kujisajili inahitaji pesa? Sawa sawa? Kujisajili ni bure. Ile itafanywa baada ya wewe kujisajili ni wewe uchunguzwe. Ule mtu wako na uwezo, utaambiwa uwezo yako ni ya shilingi 1,000. Lipa 1,000. Uwezo yako ni ya shilingi 500. Lipa 500. Uwezo yako ni ya shilingi 200. Lipa 200. Wewe una uwezo, serikali ikulipie. Mambo tosha.
Right then. Now, there were some interesting situations during the president's tour of the region. As President Ruto said that he as a leader does not need to be applauded for the work he's doing because his goal is to ensure that Kenya reforms to a better nation. His remark came following the address of Mumias East MP Peter Salasya, who seemingly threw jabs at the head of state. Salasya asked President William Ruto to address the issue of high cost of living, noting that is what is angering Kenyans. He accused the president of relying on advisors who, according to him, are hiding the truth about the real situation on the ground. He criticized the large deduction made in the wages of Kenyans and encouraged the government to immediately intervene.
Nataka Bwana Rais unichukue mimi nikuwe personal advisor wako, unilipe. Kwa sababu Bwana Rais, hao watu wako wakuambiangi ukweli. Wanakuambia SHA inafanya kazi na haifanyi kazi. Wanakuambia new model inafanya kazi na haifanyi kazi. Bwana Rais, mimi nataka nikuambia kwamba wewe ni mtu ambaye uko na moyo wa kusaidia nchi ya Kenya. Lakini kuna makatels matapeli wako katika serikali yako ambao hawataki ujue ukweli wa maneno. Mimi najua you are a God sent leader who was sent to come and save this nation. But kuna watu ambao wako hapa katikati wanataka kukutumia wewe vibaya ili ya kwamba nchi yetu isonge mbele. Mimi nataka wakati unaingia katika ile kura ambayo nataka kura za civil servant, Bwana Rais, nataka usilete karibu. Kwa sababu hao wakora wamekudanganya ukafinya payslip ya Mkenya. And that's why you see Kenyans are bitter with you, Mheshimiwa Rais. Mimi nataka Rais, leo, siku ya leo, kuna hapa, asante sana, tuko hapa na wakulima wako hapa, tuko hapa na walimu. Mwalimu anaishi hapa Ushago, Mwalimu anakatwa pesa ya affordable housing. Huyo mwalimu anaona kwamba he will never have a house. Sasa mimi nauliza rais, ukikatwa huyu mtu kama huyu anakuwa na hasira, because we are in a capitalism country ambayo sio socialism.
Hii Kenya haiwezi kubadilishwa kiholela. Haiwezi kubadilishwa kwa kupigiwa makofi. Kuna wengine hapa wananiambia ati niendelee kupigiwa makofi. Mimi sihitaji makofi. Sijui kama tunaelewana. Hao watu wengine ni wageni. Wamefika juzi kwa hii siasa. Si mimi nimekuwa around hapa. Kama wewe ni mtu umefika hapa 2-3 years ago, endelea kutafuta makofi. Mimi sitafuti makofi. Kwa ile manifesto ya Kenya Kwanza tulikuwa na program ya housing. Sawa? Kwa ile manifesto ya Azimio tulikuwa na program ya housing. Si ndio? Sasa nawasikia mtu mmoja hapa ananiambia wachana na mambo ya housing. Na yeye mwenyewe alichaguliwa kwa Azimio, na Azimio iko na housing. Sasa wewe,
you know, at times it's good when you know, individuals speak their minds out. I mean, that's what democracy is. And it's also good when the president speaks his mind out. He's able to defend his thoughts. Now, it will be unforgivable for you to just go like that without realizing that yesterday, the most powerful man in the world today, Donald Trump, was sworn in back to office as the 47th president of the United States, alongside the Vice President J.D. Vance. Former presidents, including Joe Biden and Barack Obama, attended the event held at U.S. Capitol. The event was moved indoors for the first time in decades due to the bitter cold. Also present were cabinet nominees and tech billionaires. Now, welcome back. Let's take a look at what is in the newspapers. This we're going to do pretty fast. Remember, I told you we're going to have a conversation on how you can be able to invest. Investments are very, very important. It's one of the ways that, you know, you can change your future by taking some of the money that you have, irrespective of how little it is, and planting it in something. Money is pregnant. You got to get it to the maternity to deliver. But if you decide you're going to take money that is pregnant and drown it, you lose. So we're going to find out which maternity do we take our money to, so that we're able to get it to deliver a bouncing baby, healthy baby girl or boy. All right? Beautiful. Now, the broad-based Ruto re-election political machine, and that is the headlines in the Star. And you got the picture of quite a number of people. You got the president there, then you got former Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho's CS for mining. Then you got John Badi, Kithure Kindiki, Lee Kinyanjui, Mutai Kagwe, Opiyo Wandayi, Aden Duale, William Kabogo, and Wycliffe Oparanya. I mean, you get to a point, majority of the people who are here are people that when Kenyans went to the election were in the other camp. They were not in the camp they voted for. So, tricky, right? The more things change, the more they remain the same. U.S. granny on volunteering to teach Kenyan children. And then you got the making of Ruto's 2027, a political machine. And exit wheat, enter avocados as Narok farmers chase fortune. And then Munyao unfazed. You ask me, who in the world is Munyao? Well, chill, let me tell you. He's the 2024 London Marathon champion. His other name is Alexander. Then we check the Standard, return of sycophants. Wow. And you have, oh my word, check the quality of advice you get. These are the words of Mumias East MP Peter Salasia to President William Ruto. If he wished to fulfill his pledges with the MP claiming the men surrounding him tell him what he wants to hear. I hope not. But you never know. So you got a picture of Peter Kaluma, Homa Bay Town MP. You got William Kamket. You got Junet Mohammed and John Waluke. This, according to the Standard, these are the sycophants. These are the men who, even when the king is naked, they tell him, Mr. King, Your Highness, we love the suit, the black suit you're wearing. We love the tie also. And the king is naked. So government to recruit 10,000 police officers. Then there's a change of guard, with Donald Trump being sworn in, and he's now the US president. Then page 3, how woman used stolen ID to entrap man for child upkeep. Why? Mama Kaya. Page 4, ODM leaders mixed signals fuel confusion over 2027 election plans. The only person I think right now who remains, what you can say, an influence by the entry of ODM leaders into the government is the Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna. I mean, he's remained true to self. He has remained true. The same thing he was saying at the beginning of last year before, the president brought in ODM into the government. It's the same thing he's saying today. He's been very consistent. So mark him. Mark consistent leaders, because something happens to them. They become very, very influential because you can read them. Then you have the unchecked rise of political sycophancy and blind loyalty. And you have the picture of Kamket there. Salasia calls out Ruto for taking wrong advice from close allies. I love the fact that he's saying it in the presence of the president. He wasn't gossiping. Then, in the back page of the Standard, Yamal, symbol of rising Barca. Lamine Yamal of Barcelona in action against Real Madrid. I really hope to see Barcelona going back to their old ways of winning. The Daily Nation, Uhuru versus Ruto season 2. Then you have When Love Goes Sour, the tragic end of 3 women. One man in custody, another on the run, the third dead after taking his own life. Love, love, love. Then you got page 2, you got the pictures of, the love birds before the love turned sour. I mean, you look at them, you would actually ask you to mentor you in matters come love. Only that, when things happen, the way they respond to them is what kills them. Murder in the bedroom, how woman's last words nailed her husband. And then prepare for defeat. Ruto tells his critics. Then we got the last page, KRA misses revenue target by 163 billion in the first half. Okay, now let's take this break. When we come back, I'll have Bernard Ucheng with me in the studio. We're going to converse about how you can invest, some of the things you need to consider before investing. And then tomorrow, because we believe that the state of your mind is so critical to where your life is going to go and how you can be able to handle whatever circumstances. Remember what we said. It is not what is out there. It is what is in here that determines how your life, how you're going to navigate whatever is out there. So don't worry about the out there. Just be more concerned about what is in here, because in here affects out here. Sawa? Okay, let's take that break.